As a follow-up to a video I recently did about underwater color correction for photos you've taken using your GoPro in RAW mode, allowing you to correct for most of the color distortion underwater, I figured I'd do a video talking about the different kinds of filters you can get for your GoPro for diving and snorkeling. So I've got a bit of a collection. Some of them I've used and had great experience with. Other ones are just new but look super cool. So here we go. The first thing we're going to get out of the way is that if you're going diving or you're going snorkeling with your GoPro camera, you should definitely get a red filter. It doesn't matter where you're going. It doesn't matter really how long or what you're going to be doing. You should get one of these. And you should do yourself a favor and get it before you go because it will be cheaper. Most dive shops and most dive excursions will sell filters for your camera. They're going to be expensive and they're going to be a lot more than you can get them for at home. So it's great to show up prepared with all the stuff you need so you don't get ripped off. If I sound a little bitter, it's because I'm speaking from experience. The next thing you need to figure out is whether or not you're going to get a super suit or just an underwater housing for your GoPro camera. Now, the new GoPros, the Hero 5 and the Hero 6, are waterproof to 10 meters. So they're great for snorkeling, they're great for in and out of the water, they capture better audio all around because there isn't a big waterproof case in the way. But if you take them any deeper than 10 meters, you're probably going to run into a little bit of trouble. Now your options are basically either to splurge and get the GoPro Super Suit, or there's lots of other aftermarket waterproof cases for your GoPro camera, which have their own advantages. These ones allow you to place your GoPro in the housing without having to remove the protective front lens from the camera, something which if you've seen my review on the Super Suit, linked up there, you'll know that it's a bit of a pain, especially if you want to swap your camera from the Super Suit to shooting handheld again or shooting without a waterproof case on. It's a bit of a pain, and removing that lens is a little bit scary because it does take quite a bit of force and a little bit of finagling. But there are disadvantages with these aftermarket cases as well. Because they don't require you to remove the GoPro's protective lens, it means that the case is much larger and much more bulky, and it means that standard GoPro red filters built for the Super Suit don't fit. So you're really entering a gray area, and you're probably going to end up frustrated and then just going out and buying a GoPro Super Suit anyway. I know it's expensive and it's pricey, but if you're going to go diving with your GoPro camera, buy your Super Suit first so that you've got it, and then any accessories you buy will just work with it and you're not going to end up frustrated down the road. And that brings us on to the filters we're going to look at today. We're going to look at 3 different manufacturers' red filters. We've got GoPro's red filter, we've got Polar Pro's underwater filter kit, and we've got Sandmark Action Gear's Aqua Dive filter kit. Each one of these tackles the problem of the red filter in a slightly different way. First off, there's GoPro's. This lens filter just pushes on top of the Super Suit, and you've got your red filter installed. They sell 2 different varieties, one for blue water and one for green water. And you basically buy the one you want and you're all set. But they're not cheap. GoPro uses a glass filter element, so that's actually a real piece of glass in their filter, making it more durable, with better image clarity and less likely to scratch as compared to the others, which are some sort of acrylic plastic blend or something. I'm not quite sure what they're made out of, but it is not glass as far as I can tell. But it also means that GoPro's is much more expensive. The single red filter that GoPro sells costs more than the Polar Pro 3-lens combo kit and Sandmark's 5 filter kit. So if you're looking for a filter for a single trip, I would definitely stray away from the GoPro one towards one of the other options, which will provide at least for a while the same type of image clarity and at a, well, much lower price while providing the same results. The Polar Pro filter kit is the one that I've used extensively and I've had really great results with. The filters work exactly the same way as the GoPro ones, just popping on top of the Super Suit's lens, and it means that they stay in place absolutely fine. I have never had a problem with them popping off, but it also means that if you pop up above the surface and you want to take some surface shots with your camera on the way out or while you're getting in, you just pull the lens off and you're all set to go. Because if you leave that filter on when you're above the water, you are going to get some very oddly colored photos. The kit includes 3 different filters, one for green water, one for blue water, and one for snorkeling. So it's got a slightly less tint to it because, well, the light is slightly less blue when you're at the surface. Finally, we come to Sandmarc's offering. This is their Aqua Dive Filter Kit. It includes a piece that pops onto the Supersuit's lens, and then you slide the filter that you want to use into this little receptacle. They include 5 different lenses with this, 3 red filters, one for 0 to 20 feet, one for 20 to 50 feet, and one for 50 feet plus. Now, each of these lenses is slightly more red the deeper you go, so that's more color correction the deeper you go. Then there's one for green water and a yellow filter for night diving. While it is great to have different filters for different depths, it's not quite as important to make sure you're using the right filter for the right depth as it is to make sure that you're using a filter at all. You can do enough correction in software and in post-editing to correct for those different depth changes or for the slightly different color of water you're in, but just putting a red filter in front of it will help you a huge amount in post to kind of allow you to recover the image from whatever or wherever or however you've shot it. Those are just some of the different options that are available. The important thing to make sure is that the reviews of whatever filter it is that you're looking at getting report that there's very little distortion with that filter. The GoPro ones and the Polar Pro ones are awesome, and I haven't had any trouble with distortion with them at all. And really the image looks just like it would normally above the water. The lens, the overlap on like the edge of the lens, none of that shows up in the image. So I've had great success with those. I have not tested the Sandmarc filters to the same degree, so I can't really comment on those, but based on the reviews that I've seen of other people's experience using them, they look solid as well. But just have a look and make sure that people aren't reporting a bunch of distortion and that the lenses aren't kind of weird or making the images look wonky. But really, the important thing is to make sure that before you go diving, before you go snorkeling, you do a little bit of research and pick a filter that's right for you and right for where you're going. So if you're going to be diving in Mediterranean water, that is blue water, so you're going to want to get a red filter, and you're going to want to get one before you get there so you don't get ripped off when you get there and realize that it would have made your photos a lot better. And you can get a ton of different options. There's a lot of these filters available at all different kinds of prices. Like I say, the GoPro one is definitely the most expensive that I've seen. I'm sure there's some out there that are more, but that's kind of the top of the range in price, all the way down to some really cheap ones on Amazon that I probably stay away from because reviews on those are kind of shady. But the Polar Pro ones are right in the middle with lots of different options for different kind of color, and you're going to be able to use them wherever it is you're going. The Sandmarc one, again, at a pretty solid price. It looks like it'll be solid with tons of different options in lens color. So pick one that seems to work for you, but it is important to have one. If you're going to be shooting video underwater, you're going to be shooting photos underwater, it's going to make your life easier. It's way easier to correct the color of these underwater photos and the underwater videos in post if you were shooting with a red filter. It'll just make sure that there's enough information in the shot to white balance it in post to make it look perfect. So if you're going diving or you're going snorkeling, pick up a filter that works for you, that works within your budget. And if you're only going snorkeling, make sure you don't get one for a super suit. Get one that fits directly onto the GoPro Hero 5s or Hero 6s lens. They make those as well, but there is a distinction. So if you're getting a dive filter, it'll probably fit the super suit, but there are some that fit directly onto the GoPro's existing lens. So just make sure that when you're shopping, you pick the one that works for whatever you're going to be using. The sample video that's been playing should give you a pretty good idea and a pretty good understanding of why you want a red filter, but trust me, you want one. It'll make your videos look better. It'll make your photos look better. It'll make everything you do easier, and it will make editing and post way easier. Guys, if you enjoyed this video, get subscribed, hit that like button, and most of all, until next time, thank you very much for watching.